takes this further. And I compliment the team, I compliment our knowledge partners who are here for the hard work that has gone in over the last 6 months. It's a very realistic report, and I think we'll see some success in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So with your permission, we will just have a brief presentation on this report. Then we will follow it up with kind remarks by both our members. So if you can look at the screens on your right and left, we'll see that pointed out to us again and again, hand tools and power tools tend to miss they're really obvious, they're all around us, we use them every day, they are small to big, their impact literally is felt in so many, in fact practically all aspects of our lives, whether it be construction, whether it be repairs, whether it be carrying out various small daily actions, all of them include the use of hand tools and now increasingly power tools. What is also most amazing is the huge opportunity which exists in this sector for India to ramp up its exports to as much as $25 billion and more in the next 10 years. In addition to that, we also have the opportunity to create, it's a highly intensive, labor-intensive sector in the MSMEs. It's highly labor-intensive sector, and therefore one of the major benefits of this initiative will be that we'll be able to create at least 35 lakh jobs directly from this sector, and of course the indirect jobs will also be following. Presently, this report has analyzed very clearly our share right now is extremely small. We are less than 1% in power tools and about 1.8% in hand tools in the global trade. If you compare it to giants like China, we will just show you that they have a very large, disproportionately higher share. As CEO was correctly pointed out, that no, we were not aware of this opportunity to get magnified in the manner it has got because of the recent past week or 10 days. But we were preparing this report anyway with a very clear focus that India has an opportunity to be able to break through, provided we do a couple of things. Now, many times it is said our sector has potential and it can break through. But what are the various steps to be taken to be able to break through? Those, with the help of our academic partners from FED, Piyush and his team, we've been able to really curate and bring in this report very clearly the specific steps which need to be taken. Share is leading with about 50% share of the hand tools and about 40% share of the power tool sector. India, as I had mentioned to you, has a very small share presently, which is about $600 million worth of hand tool exports, which is about 1.8% of the market share, and about 470 million of power tools, which is about 0.7% of the market share. And as the CEO had also mentioned in his opening address, these are concentrated in some clusters in India, Punjab, Maharashtra, parts of Gujarat, some in Haryana, and other such small clusters, not very widely spread. What is our target? Our target is to achieve $25 billion exports in the next 10 years, generate about 35 lakh jobs directly and indirectly by this, and capture 10% market share in power tools and 25% market share in hand tools of the global trade. Now, with that, we were able to understand and analyze what are the major challenges which we are facing. So we have identified some of the major cost disadvantages compared to our closest competitor, which is China. So we have about a 14 to 17% cost disadvantage vis-a-vis China. And this is essentially due to higher structural costs. Just go back.
Yeah, start here.
This is just giving you an idea and a couple of things to just remind us what actually we mean by hand tools and what is actually meant by power tools. And as you know, that these are available to us throughout our lives in various aspects. Hand tool trade, as we said, is going to expand from about presently $35 billion to about $60 billion. And power tools, along with the tools accessories, which are basically interchangeable tools, are going to increase from about $63 to $65 billion to about $135 billion in 2035. This is next. If you look at what I've just mentioned to you, China dominates both the sectors of hand tools and power tools, followed by European Union. If you look, about 30%, nearly 30% of either include Germany and the rest of EU, they dominate the share of hand tools, and similarly about 35% of power tools. India, as I just mentioned, enjoys a very small percentage at present. Next, please. Now, this is just a quick overview of our closest competition from China, from Vietnam, and how India's growth has taken place vis-a-vis in comparison to the exports by China and Vietnam. Next, please. Now, let's look at the tools opportunity for India. This is very crucial to understand. Now, first, why do we say that these hand tools and power tools have a very attractive, scalable opportunity for India? First, that we are a very large and attractive market globally, which is about $100 billion, and as I just mentioned, this is expected to double by 2050. Geopolitical tensions. So 7.5 to 25% additional tariff from China between 2016 to 2020. This is what we were working with actually. Now we are looking at 125%, and by the time we updated this, it has gone up further. So we are not banking on that, but again, the report essentially talks about the original, about 25% additional tariff. Even then, our cost competitiveness can significantly increase, provided we take the necessary action, as has been pointed out by this report by NITI Aayog. Again, from India's context, it is a labor-intensive sector. Labor covering about 15% of the cost in hand tools. So every crore, which Piyush very happily pointed out, every crore of exports, we can generate 5 to 7 jobs. So therefore, there's an inherently built logic why we need to export more. And our current capability, we have an extensive ecosystem already in place, and we have about approximately 5% of trade market share in some hand tools, like spanners and wrenches. How can we expand on them? Next, please. This is basically showing us the tools opportunity which we are looking at. So we could target, for example, 15 billion worth of exports in hand tools alone, and about 25 lakh additional jobs from hand tools alone by 2035. Next, please. In power tools again, we will be looking at about 100,000 crores, which is about 12 billion worth of exports, and 13 lakh additional jobs by 2035 in the power tool sector. Next, please. Now come to the crucial part of why we are not able to do it so far. This is the issue of cost competitiveness. First, of course, is the material cost. We have basically gone through the details. So FED has really gone to the minute details to really understand what is it that's contributing towards the enhanced cost of material for us. As compared to China, our steel ingots cost 15 to 20% more, plastic approximately 10% more, electronic components at present about 5% more, and motors about 15%. There are various components to it: higher import duties, QCO restrictions, and higher export duties being imposed by China and Vietnam on their own scrap steels. Here, I think I need to really point this out to you. These are not figures pulled out from desktop study. In fact, the fact that we have our colleagues from the industry themselves, they have been an active partner and have collaborated in the development of this report. They have actually told us what are the pain points. That is where all these figures are coming from. So I really would like to acknowledge the help of all the sector, all the industry leaders who are also mentioned in the report, by the way, who have really contributed towards the development of this report. Coming to the second point about land and labor. So labor laws reduce competitiveness is something our report identified. Similarly, non-availability of industrial parks and industrial land is another major challenge. Restrictive building bylaws, including low FAR and ground coverage, essentially go on to increase the land cost. You may have noticed that in the budget, which was presented by the Honorable Finance Minister, deregulation is a very important running theme. This is in line with the same, that when we deregulate, we are able to enhance productivity and increase our competitiveness. On the issue of logistics and power, we have a higher logistic cost, about 1 to 1.5% of FOB value in states like Punjab, which are essentially landlocked. So taking the goods, especially very goods which weigh a lot in terms of volume and weight to the ports, is a very expensive business. Higher electricity cost. Now, and also in addition to the unstable power. So power cuts force the industry to run generators, and by one estimate, they are about 18 rupees per unit is the cost for running generators as compared to the 78 rupees which they pay for regular supplies. Similarly, there is a restriction on the usage of solar power. So these are small regulatory challenges, policy issues which we are pointing out in this report, which if addressed can really unleash the true potential of our industry in these sectors. As CEO has very correctly pointed out, the industry is not demanding more money. They are asking us to really revisit the policy and really examine whether these are really required and how can we improve upon them. Similarly, on terms of capital, higher interest cost vis-a-vis countries like China brings about a differential of about 3%. Similarly, high duty in capital goods also contributes to this. Last but not the least is the technology part. Very limited support by public R&D institutions. In fact, when Honorable VC was in fact examining this report, he did ask us, what is the kind of the most valuable hand tool? So, as our industry had pointed out, it was ratchets arrangement which are coming up. The new technology that requires technology to be imported, that requires a new kind of steel, for example, is to be utilized. Now, for that, even small things like delay in visa clearances for technical people to come into India also can cause a lot of delay and increase the cost. Next, please. Lastly, I come to the recommendations part. So there are three categories of recommendations which the NITI Aayog report has suggested. First is create world-scale and world-class clusters for hand tools. Second, reduce factor market disabilities through structural reforms. And third, provide bridge support for cost disability as the industry scales, provided we are not able to carry out the first two. Please go on. So in terms of infrastructure requirements, I will not go through all of them, but I'll just stop with the first one. At least 4 clusters, which aggregate about 4,000 acres, built on PPP model, plug-and-play infra, provision for worker housing, effluent treatment plants, convention centers, R&D centers, and other basic amenities like water, guaranteed power supply. All of them can really go and help in enhancing our productivity and competitiveness. Similarly, on the governance side, can we bring in flexible laws for labor, for building, factory and environment requirements? Can we have, for example, a region to be planned by a cluster authority, which will reduce the red tape? Similarly, SPVs to undertake park developments. These are all suggestions which are contained in the report. Next, please. On the factor market disabilities, the same 5 factors we have discussed: material, land and building, capital, labor and power technology. We are making focused suggestions of how to rationalize various sectors, various factors, policies under these 5 broad heads, which can really allow, for example, if we pick up labor. Now, allowing 300 quarterly overtime hours can really unleash the potential of a skilled workforce. Now, this quarterly overtime hour limitation is being placed by various government regulations. So the industry is demanding, we are ready to pay. Can we do away with this quarterly overtime hours? This is something we have put in the report for the government to examine. Similarly, increasing allowable working hours to 10 hours per day and 60 hours per week can also contribute a lot. Similarly, to cap overtime wages to 1.5x in line with international standards. Similarly, on power and technology, we have expediting visa clearances. Small things like even visa clearance, when you expedite it, you are able to really unleash a lot of productive forces. Next, please. This is a very interesting slide because here we are putting numbers to all the reforms we are talking about. We are actually putting numbers and we are telling you that the comparativeness gap, which has been estimated by the entire team at FED and NITI, the hand tools cumulative deficit gap is less than 5,000 crores. It's not a mind-boggling figure. Similarly, if you look at the power tool sector, the cumulative deficit gap is less than 6,000 crores, about 5,700 crores, which can be covered through existing ROTTEP and duty drawback schemes, rationalization of overtime wages. As I mentioned, if we make those policy changes, we may not be even required to pay these amount of monies. Please go on. The bridge support also we have worked out in case we are not able to carry out the structural reforms. Till that time, the bridge support requirement for hand tool sector is over the years. For example, in 2025, the total support is about 550 crores only, and goes up to about 1,670 crores in 2029. The total 5,000 crores is not a large amount of money which we have been proposing. So when we put figures to the various challenges, vis-a-vis compared to the promised results, these are absolutely minuscule. Similarly, the bridge support, if you look at the bridge support, the total amount starting with about 580 crores in year 1 goes up to about close to 2,000 crores in year 5. Next please. So I would like to stop here and we will now like to request honorable member